Hey Justin, just wanted to let you know your package arrived today, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this fully opened and take a look at your watches here. Okay, so let's see, that looks like the case and this looks like two of your watches. Just want to give you a sense of what the state of them are when they arrive. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's start down here. All right, this looks, yep, okay. So this is the watch you had sent with your grouping. So this is 61397070, I think. Yes, 61397070. And I think this one is supposed to go in this case. Let's take a look. We're going to give it a try and see how we do. Maybe with one of this NOS case. Okay, gasket pusher set and a crown. All right. This is a nice looking case, as you know. Okay. So we're going to give that a shot. We're going to see if we can get those two together there. And see if we can make one watch out of two. All right, so I'll do a much closer assessment of this one, but I want to get your 2205 unpacked, give you a look at how it arrived, and then we'll dig in and do a closer look. Okay. Some of my favorite watches, 2205s. I love these little divers. They're just such fun case design and such nice execution by Seiko. All right. So what do we got? Let's take a nice close look. Okay, so it looks like it made it here in one piece. Everything looks good. Okay, so at first glance, let's see if we can get some power into the watch. I'm not sure where we stand at the moment, but it looks like it's gonna run. Okay, so first thing is you may be missing a case ring. That often is the case, no pun intended, is that they show up without a ring, or at least without a spring. I don't know if there's actually a spring in these. I have to look at one that I have in my collection just to see. But certainly, yep, you're missing a spring. Okay, so that's going to be something to order. We'll see if we can find one. But that's going to have to be put in place in order for your movement to stay in place. I think they are available on eBay. Okay, so that's first order. All right, so let's see how it's running. I think these run at a much different lift angle than standard Seiko 6000s. But what we can do is look at the cleanliness of the signal. So ignore the numbers for a minute because they're gonna be off. Just kind of get a sense of where your movement is to start. These are a high beat, so they want to run high. I think these numbers are okay. It's more the cleanliness of those lines that I'm interested in, and they look a little fuzzy. Now that could be any number of things. Hopefully it's not components, although I do have parts. But you know, it looks like it has now stopped. Okay, so I think we're in for a bit of a ride with this one, which is all right. It's okay. That's why it needs servicing. Let's go ahead and just take a look at the cosmetics at this one for just a moment. Get it out of the case here. Take a closer look. Case looks pretty good. Of course, you're going to need seals and all the other things that go along with reconstruction. These have a fairly simple seal for the stem, so there's not a whole lot of rebuilding to do there, which is lucky. You don't actually have a seal on your stem, but you do have some detritus on the end of your, and you do have a very bent, as you might be able to see as this rolls by, your winding stem is a bit on the bent side. Now, trying to straighten a stem is a fool's errand in many cases, and that's going to affect a few things. We can see if we can find another one. I may just have one. The problem is that because the movement's so small and because this case is so much bigger than like a dress watch, these stems tend to be much longer than the dress watch stems, which are readily available because the dress watches are so cheap and so easy to come by. So this may have to stay the way it is because I may not want to take the risk of breaking it unless I can find a new one. And they are hardened, and so you can't really do much if you do break it. So I will be super careful because I don't want to have to replace your winding crown. Okay, so that's something to consider. We'll have to look into that a little bit more deeply. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your movement ring. Oh, your whole thing's going to come at once. All right, I didn't expect that. It seems to be stuck together. Okay. All right, so dial. You can see there's been a little bit of water. I think this was a watch that probably lost a bit of its seals and then perhaps made it out into the world a little bit and suffered some water ingress. I'm pretty sure I can see that here with the movement ring, if I can get that off. Have to be a little bit careful. I don't want to damage any of these components. You know, your hands could imagine, you know, they could be cleaned a little bit. All of these surfaces are rhodium plated, so they can be cleaned up a bit. End of you got a little bit of something here at the end of your sweep second. I'm not going to mess with it too much right now. I'll wait till I get the hands off, and then we'll proceed to look at all the pieces. Your loom has aged. You know, it's not as bright, but these start off a little green to begin with because they are a Dyne model. So I can get your Seiko, you know, cleaned up a little bit. So we have some work to do on the dial, I think. The movement, of course, you know, we'll just have to see how that goes. Your case, though, you know, is pretty good shape. You've got some honest, you know, this is a worn watch. Somebody wore the heck out of this watch. There's a ton of grime and grit and stuff around the bezel. You know, this was well, as you can see, a well-seasoned watch, something that got some use. Usually with these, they were given to spouses or whomever had a small wrist and perhaps left in a drawer for a long time. So you see a lot that are sort of in that pristine shape, but your insert is really good. It shows its age nicely. We'll go ahead and get your crystal replaced. I have that replacement crystal, no problem. But your lines are good. You know, it's just a solid, honest 2205. We'll get it back to full health, and you know, we'll see what it needs. Okay, so that's your 2205. Let's put that aside. We'll come back and take a look at your swap that you want to do. So you got a 70-30 case. Nice NOS case with its crown. Okay, that's good. And you've got your 7070 case that's got the movement. So you basically have a movement holder that you want to swap with your case. All right, so, you know, it's a 6309, I'm sorry, 6139 movement. It seems to want to run a little bit. I don't think it has a whole lot of power in the movement, but that's okay. It's starting to go, so you're not frozen. It's got a lot of, you know, bits and pieces, and, you know, it's got some age to it. It's got some haze. These things get hazy if they get a little water in here. You know, you've got certainly some power in the mainspring, but, you know, we'll have to, yeah. So it definitely needs a mainspring arbor port rejewel, or jeweling to begin with. Yeah, that's pretty darn floppy. So we'll go ahead and check the swap really quickly, see if we can get those changed out for each other. Hopefully they will fit without too much hassle. You got a pretty good movement retaining ring. That's in good shape. Let's get your stem out. Okay, so there's your stem. Okay, let's get your movement out here. Doesn't seem to want to cooperate too much. See if we can get a little incentive. There we go. Okay. All right. So, you know, first glance, somebody has done quite a bit of manipulation of this particular watch. So here's what I see at first glance. Heavily painted hands. I may have a handset that might suit you well. It looks like your sweep has also been painted, and your minute recording hand has been painted. It's all in this sort of off-white color. Now, it looks like somebody also might have touched up the dial just a little bit with some somewhat glossy paint. And there's also quite a bit of haze on your dial that we may be able to clean up. You know, of course, no guarantees, but we have some tools that we can put to use to see if we can get to that nice matte, even finish across. I'm not sure if you can see the finishing on this dial, but it's sort of been, you know, messed with a little bit over here. So if we can get that cleaned up, it might be all right. But what you wanted to see was, how does this movement work with this case? So let's check it. Got your retaining ring and your pushers. Take your pushers out. Keep them here. Okay. Let's take this crown out. And let's see if we can just get this to fit. Now this has a notch, which is good, and this has a notch, which holds your tachymeter in the same location. So if we can get those rotated to the correct point, we will have good tachymeter alignment. So let's see if we can do that. Sorry for the snoring. My dogs are my constant companions in my office, and they are here to snore. Okay. So that should align with that pusher. And let's just see what we can do. Well, looky there. Okay. So I think that's what you wanted to see. And to be honest, I think that looks quite good. So if we can get some of your dial haze and mess cleaned up, we might be able to get this into a state where you're going to be really happy. I'll let you know about hands. You know, you have to make the call what you want to do. But overall, I think we got a good match. Let's try and make sure that we can get the movement retaining ring back in its spot. I'm not going to do any pushers at the moment or any crowns, but that looks pretty good. Let's just be sure before we go too far. Okay, that's good. You're definitely going to need a dial spacer. Yours has crumbled into dust, but I'm going to just try this crown just to see what a crown does. Okay, so of course we'll have to shorten your stem a little bit, but that's all right. Okay, so let's get a case back on and see what we get. And voila, there it is. Okay, so I think we're in good shape for a swap. So I think you were right. That's good news. We're going to be able to make this work. I'll take a look at the movement, of course, and we'll get your some thoughts on some hands. I may be able to pull some out here in a moment, and you can kind of let me know what you think. So hold on for 1 second, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here's a handset that I have in stock. You know, I'm always a little bit hesitant to part with things, but I do have things for sale that I can put with a restoration. But you know, these are a little costly. They are original loom. You can see there is some fade over between the black and the white, and we may be able to clean that up a little bit. This is a used set of hands. They were on a watch that came in for trade. And so as a consequence, you know, what I would recommend we do is we keep your sweep hands. And you know, we can look to see what the correct color is. I'm not much on painting hands. These have been painted already, but if we want to leave these, you're more than welcome. I can also, it probably isn't cost effective to strip these and repaint them and then reloom them, because hand relooming is expensive and time is expensive. If you do want new hands, or at least newer hands, we could go with these if you're willing to make the investment. So that's going to be something I'm going to ask you to sort of decide and let me know. But overall, you know, I think we're going to have a good chance to make this work. And yeah, let me know. Okay, so thank you very much, and I'll be in touch. Thanks.